Well, hello, Dan here, 14th of June. So here we are in my garden, Essex, South East UK, USDA Zone 8B. So an absolutely lovely evening tonight. Had some lovely warm weather of late, about 25 degrees C or so during the day, about 77 Fahrenheit. So that's lovely, really has contributed to some great growth here. Got some fruit ripening now, which is wonderful. Some vegetables that are ready, and yeah, looking at these pears, plums, apples, grapes, certainly a lot here. So let's have a look around the garden and you can see some of the things I've got growing. So I'm just standing here in front of one of my polytunnels here, plenty going on in here. So let me know what you're growing in your garden at your allotment. I'm very interested, and I dare say other people watching this video will be as well, so hopefully we can get a bit of a conversation going on in the comments section. And what's the weather like where you are as well, because I know this year it seemed to be a bit on the slow side getting started. So comment on that in the comment section below if you would like to. And also, if you don't normally leave a comment, please feel free to leave one. Maybe say, you know, where you are, where you're living, what part of the UK, what part of the world, etc. Because it's very interesting to be able to touch base with my viewers. So down here under this very tight knit netting, I've got all sorts growing here. I've got cabbage here. This is variety earliest of all. I really like this variety. It's ready very early, as the variety name states, earliest of all. I've made many videos on, or made videos on some of the subjects I'm going to be covering in today's video. You'll find some in the description box below, so you might want to spend a bit of time checking those out. But anyway, looking under here now. So cabbage earliest of all, I've got kale here, variety Nero di Toscana. Lettuce, most of that's going to seed now, but that's just one of those things. And some strawberries, variety Malling Centenary, which is a very nice modern variety of strawberry. And if you're buying your strawberries from the supermarket right now, there's a high chance some of them could be Malling Centenary. So let's have a look under this netting here and see what lovely goodies we have. So I keep my netting down with bricks, logs, etc., just to stop the wind lifting it up. You really want to make sure your netting's very tight knit, because cabbage white butterflies, they won't be long now, and the slightest little hole, they'll wriggle through and proceed to lay eggs all over the leaves of your brassicas, which you really don't want. So let's have a look under here. Right, oh yes, a few strawberries, that's nice. So Malling Centenary, very easy to pick actually. That's one of the good things about this variety. It's one reason why they're very important commercially. And oh yeah, crikeys, that's really nice. And they've been bred for flavour as well as size and other good commercial properties. So Malling Centenary, nice variety, look into that one. So you're under here, kale, Nero di Toscana. Just going to pull them off, look, some nice leaves there. I want to try a little recipe with these. Never done it before. Many of you are aware that I'm not the best cook in the universe, but I'm going to try frying some of these up in coconut oil, making like some healthy-ish crisps. But that may or may not be a good idea. What do you lot think about that? Anyone else done anything similar? I've just heard of some people doing that, so I might have a go at doing it myself. Don't want to massacre these too much because they're still relatively small, but just pick a few ready for maybe steaming up tomorrow. Yeah, so this cabbage here, really nice, starting to heart up some of these. Of course, you can eat the leaves as well. I could start eating these leaves now if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that. I want to let them heart up and get a nice cabbage. If I remember correctly, the ones I grew last year, they were cropping earlier than these. I think you have to check the video out if you want, but yeah, but as I stated before, things seem to have been a little bit more delayed this year as opposed to last year. Have any of you found that as well? So let's look at some other things, but very important, right? When you uncover whatever reason, make sure you cover your crops back up, because you'd hate it if you left it just for a small space of time and pigeons, birds, or whatever got in there. You really wouldn't like that. And of course, a bit later in the season, we're not far away now from the cabbage white butterflies. Some of you may even have them already, I don't know, but be vigilant and protect your crops. So I do sometimes get asked the question, where do I get my nets from. So these came from eBay. Bought a few of them. Can't remember the make, etc., or the cost, but if you go on eBay and you put in brassica netting, insect netting, cabbage white butterfly netting, something, maybe even this one, this variety brand, whatever, might even come up, but you'll find something on there. Mesh is another good one as well, but just make sure that if you're guarding your brassicas in particular, make sure the netting is very, very tight, because it really doesn't take much for a cabbage white butterfly to wriggle in there and lay eggs all over the leaves. You just don't want to do it, so take precautions and get the right netting. So this brings me on to the other garden here. So under here I've got some cauliflowers. This is variety all the year round. They're a really nice cauliflower. I grew them last year, and I've got them actually under a biodegradable net here. And this came from a company called Allotment. So I'm not being paid anything to recommend this or anything. They've sent me this, and I'm using it, and so far so good. So plastic free, I think that's what it states it is. So of course concerns regarding plastic, etc., etc. So, you know, a biodegradable cover here is really good. It's tight knit. I can't see a cabbage white butterfly getting in there at all. There's none around yet here, but I can't see it happening, and it successfully kept the pigeons off. So we seriously do have big pigeons around here. I mean, some of the pigeons here, man, they are enormous, but yeah, no pigeon has even attempted to get through that protector there, so that's wonderful. Let's have a closer look and look underneath it and have a look at the wonderful cauliflowers. Right, so let's have a look underneath. So many of you could see that I've not got these on hoops or anything like that. I just drape the netting, the covers, etc. over, and I leave enough slack so that as the plants grow, they push it up. Got to leave the slack, because of course if you don't, you're just going to compress your plant and damage. You don't want that. So let's have a look under here and see just what we've got. So there won't be any cauliflower heads yet, of course, because we're still quite early in the season, but cool, yeah, really looking nice and healthy there, these leaves. Let's have a look. So yeah, look at them, lovely colour of leaves, nice size leaves as well. So yeah, very happy indeed. So hopefully it won't be too long now till the cauliflowers start coming. That'll be wonderful. So I've got some sweet corn here. Now this is variety double red. This is a red sweet corn. You'll find a video linked in the description box below. You can have a look at it, the red sweet corn. So I really do like this variety because it's got a really nice earthy taste. It's not overly sweet like sort of many people consider sweet corn to be, but it's got almost like a chewy texture, earthy, mildly sweet, very nice. It tastes rather sort of nutritious, and when you cook it, you know, boil it or steam it, a lovely sort of red colour comes from it. So to me indicates it's got a lot of nutrients in it, which of course is very good indeed. So got them covered over with the biodegradable, just up on straight, look, there we go, that one there, look, that's needs to be straightened up with the biodegradable netting once again. Just keeping them like that, just to keep any birds off. They'd probably be all right, but just like that, you know. So if you're living in a if your allotment is not in a sheltered location, or your garden, let's say it's very open, lots of wind, etc., it can be nice to build like a windbreak around sweet corn, particularly when they're small, because a strong winds, etc., can blow them over. So let's have a look what else we've got growing in here. So also underneath the plastic free cover here, I've got some perpetual spinach. Now this is one of my favourite crops to grow. Probably, as someone said to me, you can only grow 5 vegetables. Perpetual spinach would probably be on the list. It's otherwise known as leaf beet chard because it's actually a chard, fully hardy here in the UK. As long as it doesn't get too cold, this should stand and survive the winter that will be here before we know it. So I'll get a crop from these probably in about 3 weeks, a month or so, something like that. I could of course start picking them now, but I want them to get a bit bigger, and what I'll do is I'll stop picking them around late summer, let it grow again in the autumn, which I can then take off leaves throughout the winter as the winter progresses, and then in the spring when it warms up, it will then grow again, put out another crop I can pick. So yeah, you really can get lots of crops from sort of one sowing of perpetual spinach, which is really nice there. And under here I've got several varieties of beetroot. The one I could see there, if I remember correctly, is albino beetroot, white albino beetroot. I think there's records of that being found in Roman gardens, or being grown, not found, grown rather, in Roman gardens, which is quite interesting. White albino beetroot, some say it might be a little bit sweeter than normal beetroot, I'm not so sure, but what I have found is it tends to stand better into the winter in the ground without being woody, as opposed to a sort of standardly grown purple beetroot, if you will. But white albino beetroot, that's one of my favourite crops to grow. Many of you have seen me grow that before. So blueberries, got some here in this trailer that I'm using to store the blueberry plants. So starting to come into cropping now. Really got some nice crops of blueberries here coming. Got some more in another part of the garden, in the other polytunnel. We'll have a look at those in a minute. But yeah, starting to get blueberries, and they're tasty. Not quite there yet, need a bit longer. Now I'm actually being a bit foolish here. I should have covered this by now with some netting to keep the birds off. If I remember correctly, the blackbirds absolutely love these, so cover your blueberries up. Doesn't need to be a tight netting like you'd use for your brassicas, but just something to keep the birds off would be a wise thing to do, because it would be quite annoying to lose your crop, wouldn't it? So you can see, look, as I pan the camera, look, like that there, look, and loads all the way up there, so lovely crops to come. All down here as well. I mean, look, beautiful, beautiful. So if you can, it's a good idea to water blueberry plants with rainwater, because tap water tends to be more on the alkaline side. Blueberries like a nice acidic, otherwise known as ericaceous growing medium, you know, 4.5 to 5.5 pH. Can sometimes be quite tricky to achieve that, but if you can water with rainwater, that's a very good thing to do. I know it's difficult at the moment because we're just not getting that much rain. We don't seem to have much rain, or had much rain around here for probably about 6-7 weeks or so, something like that. Apparently some is due next week, so that'll be grand if that happens. Wherever you are, you're getting plenty of rain, or is it dry like it is round here? Let's move on. So I've got a variety of carrot I'm growing here called Championship Stock. You can see I'm growing them in this container here, which, if I remember correctly, is mainly my own homemade compost, maybe some compost I had laying about, maybe some garden soil, something like that. But put it this way, I wasn't particularly fastidious, I don't think anyway, about the growing medium. So let's have a look at what we've got. So I planted these on the 3rd of April. So what's that? 9 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, something like that. So let's have a pick here of what. Let's see if we can take one out of here and see if we've got any carrots on the way. That's an interesting one. It's quite far down, that one. There you go, look. So 9 weeks or so, something like that, look. And already, you know, I don't know how big that is, but if I put my hand there, look, it's just a bit longer than my hand. So this is of course a variety which can get very large indeed. How much actual attention I give to thinning these out, I don't know, but we'll see just what happens. But either way, it could be quite cool. What do you think of that then? Look. So here we go. I've got some varieties of tomatoes. Gardener's Delight. This is a German variety. Got a variety here called Big Zack, which, if I remember correctly, got the world record for biggest tomato. So we'll be really interested to see how this turns out. Of course, I'll be interested to see how they all turn out. Got a Romanian cherry tomato here called Paradixum Cherry, and a Russian tomato called Grashovka. So the Big Zack actually has got some flowers on it now, so that's wonderful. These are growing in homemade compost mainly. At the moment I'm deciding not to feed them with, you know, something like an organic tomato feed, because I'm confident this compost is of good quality and it's got enough nutrition to at least sustain them for a while. So if the leaves start looking pale, going purple, etc., the plants start looking a bit on the sort of weak, weedy side, I'll then consider feeding. But just you know, if you want to feed your tomatoes, of course, feed them, follow the manufacturer's instructions. Now, these are in containers, so if they're in the ground, very unlikely I'd feed them at all, but it is a consideration, and it's an open book, as they say, as to how I'm going to treat them. So how your tomatoes doing? I'm quite happy actually with how these are turning out, and I'm expecting some lovely crops from them. So you can see it's quite busy in here. I'm going to have to sort this out. So I'll show you here. I've got some pineapple guavas, otherwise known as feijoas. So I never actually knew what these were until I worked for a lady who was from New Zealand, and she told me all about these, and I tried them, and absolutely wonderful they are. And also Brett on the channel Lionheart84, he's grown these with great success not too far from here in Essex, so that's really wonderful. That is Lionheart84 is a good channel actually. He's really got some lovely crops of these, which was wonderful. So pineapple guava variety Triumph, look, that one there, look, and this one here, this is actually a nameless variety, so really nice. They came from Roots Nursery, so I need to get these in bigger pots, but all in good time, and they are looking nice. Really happy. Any of you grown pineapple guavas out there? Oh, crikeys. Yep, there we go. 2 little baby fruits on there, so let's have a look. So as we look at the plants here, look, here you go. Looks like there's one there, look, and one there, so I may get some feijoas. Isn't that wonderful? So here, the nectarines. This is variety Lord Napier. Had a lovely crop off of these last year. Probably got about 40, 30, something like that, nectarines on here, so these are looking good. Won't be too long now, probably be cropping in, I don't know, 6 weeks, something like that. Really nice, perfectly possible to grow nectarines, peaches in the UK. I've spoken a lot about, you know, the growing of those, so I won't go into it too much, but the main thing is you don't want to get peach leaf curl, and that's the reason why I grow my nectarine tree and my 2 peach trees under cover in polytunnels. So down here, now I was very lucky actually, I was given quite a few tomato plants of this variety here, and actually the variety name escapes me right now. I'll have to inquire and I'll put it on the screen, but should be nice. I've got some here, and I've also got some planted outside in the garden, and just as an experiment I planted a double red sweet corn here in the polytunnel, so we'll see how this all does, and yeah, expecting it to you know, do wonderful. So just a little interest for you here. Now, some people, if they're renting or they've got a small garden, haven't got much space, they don't want to put a tree in the ground, you know, they sometimes think they can't grow fruit trees because they've only got the option of growing them in a pot. Well, actually you can. So I've got here, this is a plum tree. I've got several fruit trees here actually, as many of you know, but this is plum tree variety Victoria, and it's set a lovely crop here, probably about at least 20 lovely plums. It's a very young tree, and I've actually got it growing in a dustbin. So when I was working for someone, you know, this lady gave me several dustbins to use as plant pots, which is wonderful because the cost of a plant pot the size of this dustbin would be considerable. Yes, some people might not think that dustbins are particularly aesthetic, but you know, as far as practical use goes, they can be wonderful. Now, the compost that I've got this tree growing in, I actually made myself. Let's have a close look at it. So down here we are. Now, this compost, I made it last year, and the compost that I used is mainly made out of grass clippings, cardboard, and if I remember correctly, leaves, you know, and any little bits of debris that are within it. And it's actually doing very well. It must have plenty of nutrients in it, because it's allowed this tree here to set this absolutely wonderful crop. Now you can see it's sunk a little bit, which I would expect this compost to do. And what I'll do at the end of the year when the tree's dormant, this hopefully will have put out some nice roots, a nice root ball in here, and it then should allow me to lift this out, and then I can put some more compost at the bottom to bring this level back up. But all being well, doing well in this compost here. So how do I make the majority of my compost? So I actually moved away from compost tumbler Dalek compost bins when did I last empty the last one? Probably about a month, 6 weeks ago, something like that. And I used these two big tubs here. I made a video last year actually, or a couple of videos actually, on how I do this, but I can turn compost around in about 6 weeks, something like that, and I show you in those videos how I get crops from that compost. So that's what I do. Grass clippings here, which I've got, so majority of these came from grass cutting jobs I do, you know, for other people. Of course, I fully understand the majority of people aren't going to get anywhere near the amount of grass that I get to deal with, unless I've got a rather large garden, of course. But you know, I have heard of people actually getting grass clippings from their neighbours to use, and that can be a very handy thing to, you know, to do. It means they don't have to get rid of it in the council bins or whatever, or take it down the tip. You know, you can utilise it. Cardboard can often be quite easy to get. You know, the amount of people now that get Amazon deliveries and things like that, you know, you can get hold of cardboard, and supermarkets often give it away, and you can make good compost actually out of just grass and cardboard, or grass and leaves. You can see I've got a little bit of kitchen scraps here, you know, like onions, etc. Ideally I turn it every week from this large tub here into this one here. Plenty of air in there, keep it going. You can actually create it very, very quick indeed. So yep, should be on the path to making some more lovely compost as well. So this part of the garden here, I've got quite a bit of work to do here. I use this as storage and also as an exotic fruit growing area. Behind the camera also there's a grapevine. There's several grapevines here, so I'm going to be doing a bit of summer pruning on these. I've got to clean it up, etc., but it'll all happen in good time, and the grapes aren't ripening yet anyway. They're going to be, you know, much later, very late summer into the autumn. So potatoes, got some potatoes here in these tubs, variety Condor from ones I saved last year. Seed potatoes I saved, so they're flowering there, so that's wonderful. And I've got a few of those. And figs as well, got persimmons here, otherwise known as Sharon fruit, if I remember correctly. So yeah, really nice here, and we'll see how this area progresses as the gardening year moves on. See, I don't know, there you go, see, I don't know if you can see, look, but that's Mr. Pigeon over there. And we do get some truly epic pigeons here. And you can see just the size of him over there. Let's walk towards him and see if he flies off. Oh, no, he's not gone anywhere yet, look. Still sit, there you go, look. What are the pigeons like where you are? If you live in another part of the world, do you get pigeons? What birds do you get? There we go, off he goes. So here I've got a variety of raspberry, and this is Golden Queen. Really nice. And they come into fruiting quite early actually. So the fruits here, they're actually quite small. Now I suspect this is a small variety, but also it's not helped by the fact that you know, we haven't had much rainfall and I haven't watered them. So there we are. But a bit of attention to detail, you know, if you can give your fruit, your veg, etc., nice bit of water. You know, even if it's not, you know, 100% necessary in the case of, you know, these, they would produce whether I watered them or not, but they just, you know, would be very small indeed. But best practice would be to give them a nice bit of water if you can, because these, of course, they're growing in the ground, and largely these could fend from themselves. At least they did for themselves. At least they did last year when we had that drought, temperatures of some days over 40 degrees C. I think it's about 104 Fahrenheit, and they were quite fine. But once again, the crop was, you know, the individual raspberries were small. So I'll let you have a look at these. Look, nice little load of raspberries there. So here we are in the other polytunnel once again. Now, blueberries. I think actually this is the biggest crop of blueberries I've had or will be. So that's really good. I'm going to pick one here. So with blueberries, and of course many other things, if you can water every day, they really do appreciate it. So I've got these growing in containers for the ericaceous growing medium, etc. But yeah, really nice. Got an assortment of varieties of blueberries. Many, or I remember correctly, the majority of blueberries are partially self-fertile, meaning they can produce fruit from their own pollen. But if you can have more than one variety, it's said that that can actually help you with pollination and potentially get a better crop. So that's something you could we could look into. But yeah, Dixie Red, I mean, she truly is loaded with fruit, as she is every year. Have some close-ups. So yeah, look at these blueberries, look. Look at that, look. Absolutely wonderful, lovely crops there, really good. One of the benefits, of course, of growing them here in this tunnel is I'm not having to worry about netting them from the birds. Of course, a bird could get in there, but you know, if that happens, it happens, but I'm not overly concerned about it. So here we go, look, I'll just show you here. I mean, look at that, look. Fantastic crop, fantastic. Another condor potato growing in here. I set my potatoes quite early this year, I think it was February, so yeah, should be nice, and going to give that as long as possible, try and get them as big as I possibly can. I'm giving them plenty of water, daily watering for these. They're in containers, this one here and the other ones you saw earlier, so we'll see what tatties we end up with. So there we go, really rocking and rolling here with crops now, so that's wonderful. I'm hoping to be able to get back to making some more instructional content soon, some videos where we can do some planting together. I really do miss making those actually, so it won't be too far away now, hopefully, till I can make one. But hope you enjoyed that video, and if you're new to this channel and you've managed to bear it watching this video this far, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, etc. I truly do appreciate it. Going to maybe try my little recipe that I spoke about earlier with this kale, and that would be absolutely wonderful. And going to be enjoying my daily harvest there of raspberries. Thanks for your time, of course, and I'll see you all in the next video.